Thanks to the joys of curbside pickup, we've ended up with a ton of scallions or green onions and leeks. So I thought I might experiment and try and make some scallion pancakes or green onion pancakes. You know those flaky, pastry, pancakey things you get in Asian restaurants. You see them a lot in street food in Taiwan. Okay, so we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and then we have a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. So we'll just give that a quick mix. Then we're going to add a cup of boiling water, and then we will knead it real quick. Normally I would have used the food processor, and I think that would have been a little bit easier than trying to use the kneading thing on a hand mixer, but you know, trying things out. And once it's formed a loose dough, we'll just cover it and leave it for about 30 minutes just to relax and settle down. Okay, next we are going to chop the leeks and green onions. I've used one of the leeks, the bigger bunch of green onions, and we'll see how we go. I have washed and trimmed them a little bit, got rid of the papery outside, and you can see I cut down here where the greens were. Like this, and that's because that's where the dirt tends to accumulate, so it gives you an easy way to sort of wash any of the excess dirt out. You don't want dirt in your pancakes. And I'm just going to do a basic cut across, nothing too fancy, reasonably thin, but you know, not getting too carried away. And I'm cool with using both the white and the green, so I'll just go most of the way through the green. Use a bench scraper. Bench scrapers to me are worth their weight in gold. I feel like they make things much easier. If you don't have one, you should get one. For the leek, I'll probably just continue down those cuts I made, cut into quarters, and then see how we go from there. You kind of just bunch it together. One trick, if you have the elastic bands that came wrapped around the green onions or the leeks, you can actually put them back on when they're sliced up, and it'll hold them together in that round shape. Just make it a little bit easier. I forgot to save one, so I'll just do my best. I think that'll probably get us close to 2 cups. So that's my green onions. That's probably about 2 cups worth. If not, doesn't matter, I'll just use a bit less of the dough. I just realized the recipe I have doesn't call for any salt in the dough, which I think is a bit odd. About halfway through the rest, I actually added about, I don't know, a good solid teaspoon of salt to it, and then gave it a quick re-knead, which actually works out pretty well because it meant it had a little bit of time to do an autolyse before I added the salt. So next, I'm going to use our bench scraper to cut this into 4 roughly equal sized pieces, like so. Put 3 of them back into their bowl to be covered up, and we'll just work with one at a time. A little bit of flour. basically rolling it out pretty thin. You can see I'm making it longer one way than the other. That's because we're going to roll it up. We want plenty of rolling. Once we're pretty happy with how it's rolled out, add a little bit of sesame oil and then kind of just brush it over. You don't want too much. You kind of want enough just to loosen the surface. Probably better to just paint it on, not pour it on first. Then we're going to roll it up. You don't have to be super tight or anything. So basically we're creating layers, right? We then roll it up this way. We get a ball like this and just flatten that out. Right, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that with the other three, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so we've rolled them all out, twisted them up, and we're going to basically do the same thing again, one at a time. We're flattening out, roll it out, and we'll paint with sesame again, but this time we'll also add the green onion pancakes. You do want it to get as thin as you can. The thinner it is, the more layers you'll get, the flakier it will be. Again, on with the oil. And I've actually just discovered it's easier to just do this rather than use the pastry brush. It gives me a more sensory feel for when it's got a good covering. You want a good amount of green onions, probably a bit more than you would expect. Have it pretty well distributed. And again, we're going to roll it up like we did before. Any onion that pops out the end, you can just put into the next one. Same thing again, and it helps if you just tuck the end under itself. Just helps keep its shape. So once that's done across all four of them, you just want to roll them out a little bit, flatten them out, and make sort of like a 7-inch. And it's pretty common for the sides to burst, and that's okay. Any of the onions that end up on the sides will just get nice and crispy, which is not a bad thing. I feel like that's about what I'm looking for. Okay, pan is at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think is about the right temperature. Just using a cast iron pan. Add a little bit more oil. I don't want it too greasy, but also don't want it to stick. Let's go ahead and put our first one on. Alright, I think that's probably enough time. Let's go ahead and see if we can flip it over and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that looks great. You just see we've got a little bit of colour forming We might want a little bit more color than that, so we'll probably turn it around, cook it for a little bit longer on that first side. Now we'll just flip it and have a look at the second side. Again, that looks pretty good. As you take them out, while they're still hot, you want to just salt them just a little bit. Alright, all that's left is they're eaten. So we'll just cut it into quarters. I've made a quick dipping sauce. It is a little bit of soy, a little bit of black vinegar, and a little bit of chili crisp. And that's it. Enjoy.